Welcome back, everyone. This is Practical IT. We're going to continue our discussion on selective or conditional rendering. We have seen on the previous video the basics of it, and now let's try to see what the actual implementation looks like using a radio button. On this one, what we wanted to do is just to show a credit card or a PayPal form, and the payment form goes here. The PayPal form goes here is the kind of a placeholder, which would show us like the form that is representing a PayPal is going to be just shown. Whereas for the one that we're going to be having for the credit card, a PayPal, the form for the credit card, like text is going to go over here. So let's try to see how we can accomplish that. And this is where you're going to have like the do you want to pay with the credit card or a PayPal. Now we want to change this into a radio button. So for that, I'm going to check this out, and I'm going to add input type. Oh, not that one. Radio, and name equals payment. Let's call it, and we can have a value to be credit card. And in front of it, I'm going to have a credit card, and maybe just to make it like on a new page. Actually, that should be fine. And on this one, we're going to call it like a PayPal, and radio, name, payment, and let's call this one as PayPal. So for this one, whenever we're changing a value that is selecting and deselecting, we want to handle it like on the event handler. So I'm going to use on change event, and let's call it like payment type handler. Oh, not that one. We need it in the in this one, because we are calling a function. And of course, this is going to be that one. And we haven't declared that one, so we're going to go ahead and then just create it somewhere over here. And we're going to say payment type handler, and we're going to get like the event, and this event is going to be passed whenever we are passing the value. So from here, like whenever we are clicking on a button with the radio button, when we are selecting like a credit card or when we are selecting the PayPal account. So we're going to have a late value, that's the one that we are getting, equals event that targets that value. And if this is what we're going to be switching, then we're going to say if value equals credit card, then what we wanted to do is this dot set state. We want to change the type of like the payment type, which is from our state, into true. The pay by CC is going to be just showing a false, and we want to switch it into a true. So that is going to be handling over here. So we're going to say pay by CC is equals to true. And for the other case, on the else, we're going to have like the same thing, except the value is going to be just false. Or a better way of doing it could be, we can make it like copy over here, and we're going to say selected, CC selected, and probably we can have a late CC selected equals false. And over here, rather than just having this one, CC selected equals true, right? And all we have to do would be just to do it. If that's the case, then we don't even need this one. That's the better way of like doing it. And we can make it this way, as selected is true, first one is false. So since we have like only two methods over here, this one would work. Like in case if we're having like two or three kind of methods, then it would be easier just to do it by their name as well. But for easier case, we have considered like having just two cases, like whether it is a credit card or a PayPal. And if it is a credit card, we're going to make this thing as a true. If not, then it's going to be just false, and that's all we need. the initial one, we can make it, it doesn't matter actually. So let's go back. And now we have like the card, and by default, it is showing PayPal form goes here. And that is because the initial one from the previous video, you can remember that this one is initially false. So if you want to make our start or the default one to be like pay by credit card, then we might have to select that one as well in order to show it. And all we have to do, we just over here, we can make the selected actually checked equals, we're going to say this dot state dot pay by CC. So if this one is the case, then it's going to select this one as the beginning. So here you can see that credit card form goes here is coming, and then this one is selected by default. And when we are switching, then it's going to, oh, we are having a problem. Well, let's see what the issue is. If there is anything which is going wrong, or we might have created some error. All right, so we don't have any problem. It looks like it's the logic error which might be happening. And over here, CC selected, by default it's false. Value is CC. Let's see. So let's say console.log value, just for the sake of like taking a look. This one, it's not even going here. Payment type handler. What am I missing? Oh, that is because on changes handled only on one of them. Wow, that's why. All right, so we can handle on change equals this that payment type handler. That was the issue. And now we are having it on both, so we don't have any problem. So if I reload it, we don't need this one. And if I come here, then it's going to say PayPal form goes here. And over here, it's going to say like CC form goes here. So you can see like in case if you are getting those kinds of issues, this is how you're going to debug and try to understand. Just make sure that, you know, like the what, try to add like a console, or in some cases you can also do like the breakpoint and then show that. But in general, try to see like what is appearing there on areas that you are expecting. And if not, then you would immediately know what the problem is. So in my case, I was just adding only for one of them, like the change event. And that's why I was not calling for the change event of like the PayPal. Now, going back to the part that we were discussing. So this is what we mean by creating the partial rendering or conditional rendering. It's going to be showing only one part of like the one part of like the component, or the conditions are going to be satisfied and we're going to show like some part, and if not, then we're not going to show another part. So that is how we're going to do it. And in case if you're going to be wondering like where those things are coming from, you can always check back to that of like the functions that we have created in order to get them. You can see like the credit card is getting like the show the credit card form here is coming, but you can imagine here you can have like the input box, having like the input box and everything, which would be taking care of like the credit card information, name, zip code, in back of the card and everything. Whereas in the case of like the PayPal form, we can only provide only the email and that's the password in order to get into the PayPal. So this is how we're going to do the